Hello, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, hi, good evening. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm also doing well, thank you. So this call is regarding your Java interview, and this is going to be your Java backend interview. So, do you like to introduce yourself about technology stack and what kind of domains you have worked on?
Yes, so I'm currently having around 4.5 years of experience working as a Java developer. So I know Java, writing REST APIs using Spring Boot, basics of microservice-based architecture, and from database side, I know SQL and Oracle as a database. And apart from this, I have a little idea about UI technologies as well, like Angular, HTML, CSS, but that is my secondary skill. My primary skill is Java. So that's it from my side.
Okay, great. All right. And which version of Java are you currently working on?
Yes, we are currently using JDK 8, but we are trying to upgrade it to JDK 17.
All right, nice. Okay, so if I ask you to rate yourself in Core Java out of 5, how much would you rate yourself?
Okay, so out of 5, I will try to answer at least 4 questions. So if you ask me to rate, I can rate myself around 4.
Okay, great. All right, so let's get started. What are the different ways to create threads? Do you have any idea around this?
Yes, so we can create the thread in 2 or 3 ways. First way is like we can extend the thread class and then override the run method. So that will give me a thread object. Then I can use runnable interface. So my class should implement that runnable interface, and then I'll be able to implement or create a thread. And there is a executor framework. Okay, so that can also use to create the thread. So these are the 3 ways which can be used to create threads in Java.
Okay, all right. And what is the recommended way of creating threads?
So you can, if there is a need to create multiple threads, then you can go with executor framework. Otherwise, if you want to create a single thread, and your class is not extending any other class, then you can go with thread class. Otherwise, it is simply go and implement the runnable interface.
All right, great. Okay. So let's just go one step further. Do you know what is deadlock and how can we avoid it?
Yes. So deadlock occurs when two or more threads are waiting on each other's resources. Okay, so let us consider I have one thread, thread one is holding a resource one, and thread 2 is waiting for resource 2, but that is held by another thread. So this situation is called as deadlock. Now we can avoid this by different ways, like we can use locks in a consistent order, or we can use try lock mechanisms like a lock.try function, which is available in java.util.concurrent package, or even we can minimize the synchronized code blocks. So that will help me to reduce the deadlock conditions.
Great, great. What are the common thread states? So, what are the different states in which the thread can be present?
Yes, so there are different states through which a thread can go. So when we create a thread, but that thread is not yet started, so we call it as in the thread is in new state. Now, when the thread starts running or it is ready to run, then we call that state as a runnable state. Then a blocked state, or we can call it as a waiting state. So thread is actually in this state, the thread is actually waiting to acquire the lock. Then we have another waiting or time waiting state. So where the thread is waiting for a specific time, and when we finish, or the thread finish its task, So basically, it completes the task execution, then that thread goes into terminated state.
Okay. So once the thread is terminated, can I restart the thread?
Uh, Once a thread is terminated, I think you should be able to restart that thread, but that will be a new thread.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Now, let's try to go towards exception. What is the difference between throw and throws? Do you know about it?
Yes, so throw and throws keyword are related to exception handling in Java. So basically, throw is used to explicitly throw an exception in the code. For example, I want to throw an exception when I don't see the information, which is let us consider I'm trying to find an employee and that employee is not available. So I can throw employee not found exception. So I can use throw keyword to throw this exception. And throws is used with your method signature. This indicates that the method may throw an exception. So this is the use of throw keyword.
Okay. Okay. All right. And what are the different types of exceptions in Java?
We have different types of exceptions like checked exception and unchecked exceptions. So checked exceptions are the exceptions which are checked by your compiler at compile time, and unchecked exceptions are basically runtime exceptions which occurs when your code is running or this is not checked by your compiler. For example, null pointer exception or array index out of bound exception. So these are the runtime exceptions which occurs at a runtime.
Okay. Great. Um, so there is something called as try with resource. What do you mean by try with resource?
Try with a resource means we are writing a resource along with your try block. For example, let us consider there is a file. Okay, and I want to create an object of buffered reader. So instead of creating separate object of buffered reader inside try block or outside try block, what I can do, I can use the buffered reader object along with a try statement. So what will happen? I don't need to close that resource explicitly. So when you use try with resource, the resource will be automatically closed once the execution or use of that resource is completed. So you don't need to uh, explicitly close that resource. So that is a try with resource. And the one more thing related to it is like the as I said, I need a buffer reader resource. So that buffer reader should be implementing that auto closable interface. That is the requirement to use try with resource
Excellent.
in Java.
Excellent. Excellent. Nice. So let's try to what is the difference between equal to operator and equals method? These are the two ways to compare the objects. So what is the difference between them?
So equal operator is used to compare the references for the objects. Okay, and equals method is used to check the content of the object. For example, now let me create two strings. String str1 equal to abc and string str2 is equal to new string of abc. In this case, if I use str1 equal to str2, in this case I'll get the response as false because this str1 and str2 are referencing to two different instances. And if I use str1 dot equals str2, then I'll get the response as true because str1 is holding the string content as abc and str2 is also holding string as abc. So both abc and abc are same. So I'll get true as a return value or the response.
Okay, okay. And what is the difference between abstract class and interface, and when to go for which one? Do you have any idea on this?
So basically, abstract class can have methods as well as variables, but in interface we have only abstract methods. So in abstract class you can have abstract as well as non-abstract methods, but in interface till Java 8 we have only abstract methods. In Java 8 we have static and default methods as well, where we can provide the implementation of the methods. And the other thing is like a class can extend only one abstract class, but it can implement multiple interfaces. So interface can extend the interface, but it cannot implement the interface.
Okay, all right, nice. Uh,
So these are the two differences.
okay, all right. Now let's try to move towards Spring Boot questions. Okay, how much
Okay.
would you rate yourself in Spring Boot out of 5?
So even in Spring Boot, I will try to answer at least 4 questions out of 5. So I can rate around 4.
Great, great. There's a basic fundamental. What is the dependency injection and how does Spring Boot support it?
Okay. So dependency injection is basically a design pattern where dependencies are injected into a class instead of being created inside it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the dependency instead of creating the dependencies. It will be injected by this dependency injection pattern. Now, the Spring Boot supports this dependency injection using annotations like add direct auto or add direct bin, where the bins will be injected by using these annotations. For example, let us consider I need a bin of type employee. So I can use object of employee along with auto-wired annotation. So I'll get the instance or bin of type employee.
Okay, all right, all right. And do you know about circular dependencies and how does Spring handle it? Spring Boot handle it?
Yeah, so circular dependencies can be handled using proxy objects, or you can use the annotations like add direct a lazy annotation to load the dependencies lazily. So developers actually can avoid these circular dependencies by refactoring the code, or we can use constructor injection with add direct lazy annotation that will load the bins lazily, so you can avoid the circular dependency.
Great, great. Okay, so now in Spring Boot, there are different types of repositories. So, for example, CRUD repository and JPA repository. What is the difference between CRUD repository and JPA repository?
So CRUD repository, as it is name suggests, it is useful for performing CRUD operations like create, read, update, and delete operations. Whereas JPA repository is built on top of CRUD repository, where it provides the operations which are available in CRUD repository with additional attributes or functions like pagination. So you can have, uh, I can say that there are more features which are available in JPA repository.
Okay, and in your project, what kind of repository are you using?
We are using JPA repository because we need to sort the results as well as we need pagination as well, and that is supported by JPA repository. So we use the JPA repository.
Okay, okay, nice, nice. So, what are some of the best practices for tuning the performance of your Spring Boot application? I have one application and I want to tune the performance of that application. How would you go about this?
Okay. So to tune the performance or to improve the application performance, I can use caching. That is one way. So what will happen? Caching means basically we are trying to avoid the database calls frequently. Let us consider I need some data from the database and that data is not changing frequently. So what I will do, I'll cache that data at server's memory, and then whenever there is a need, it will go to the server, get the data from the cache and send back to the client. So every time I don't need to go to the database. So that will reduce the time of round trip from client to server. Apart from that, on database side, I can use indexing on the tables which are frequently used for search operations. So I can optimize queries using this proper indexing. Then I can even configure the actuator endpoints to get the insights of application or to monitor the application health and performance. That will help me to monitor the performance, and then I can use those metrics to improve the performance, or I can use the asynchronous processing using at direct async annotation.
Okay. All right. So these are some of the nice ways to tune in the performance. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
All right. And how do you now move? We'll move to microservices. Consider you have one monolithic application, and I want to divide that
Okay.
application into microservices. How would you go
Okay.
about dividing your monolithic to microservices?
Okay, so dividing a monolithic application into microservice-based application. First thing is I'll try to identify the domains and what I can say as boundaries based on the functionalities. So what I will do, I'll try to analyze the existing code and identify the modules which I can create or I can use to create the independent services. Then the next thing is I'll try to create these separate services to handle a specific business functionality. Then we need to decide how these services will interact with each other or communicate with each other. So if there is a need to consistently pass data from one service to another service, then I can use asynchronous communication using messaging tools like Kafka or ActiveMQ or RabbitMQ. And if there is a need to have asynchronous communication, like sending a request to a service and getting data from that service, so I can use REST APIs for this communication. Then I'll introduce API gateway, which will act as a front door for the client request. So whenever there is a request from client side, it will go through the API gateway, and then the API gateway will collect data from the different services and send back to the client. And then I will use discovery service. So that discovery service will help me to discover the instances of these services. So whenever there is a need to communicate or to manage the communication between services, I can use discovery service to discover these services for communication purpose. Even I can use some load balancing to manage the load of these services. Then I need to decide the technical stack which will be required to implement these services, as these services can be developed independently and deployed independently. Then I need to decide the things related to deployment of these services. For example, I need to set up a CI/CD, which will help me for continuous integration and continuous deployment of these services. So whenever developer commits the code, the check-in should happen, and it should build the code and deploy the code to a VM or server by using Docker images, or you can use Kubernetes for managing these containers. Then from testing point of view, I'll try to write the J units which will cover the coding, and from QA's point of view, we should have manual testing as well as automation in place to for regression testing. So these are the few things which I will consider while migrating monolith application into microservice based application.
Yeah, so that was a comprehensive answer. All right,
Mm.
thanks. All right, now let's try to. Do you know some of the differences between synchronous and asynchronous communication in case of microservices?
Yes, so synchronous communication is basically like send the request and wait for the response before proceeding with the next one. So basically, client sends a request and wait for response from the server side before proceeding with the next request. And I we are using REST APIs for this client communication. Okay, and asynchronous communication is like client continually sends the request and it doesn't wait for the server to get the response. For example, message queues like Apache Kafka or RabbitMQ, where the publisher will publish the messages continuously to that Kafka broker or queue, and the consumer will consume it as and when required. So this is about the synchronous and asynchronous communication.
Okay, nice. All right. Now, I am going to give you one program. You can try to answer that program using Java 8. So, do you want to
Okay.
share your screen?
Yes. Let me know once it is visible.
I can see your screen.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the program statement is like this. You need to write a program to find the list of unique words from a sentence. Okay.
Okay.
And sorted alphabetically in alphabetical order using Java 8. You need to find the unique
Okay.
words and sort it alphabetically using Java 8.
Okay. So what I will do, so here you can see I have written a class client and inside I write a main method that will be the starting point for my program execution. Now I'll take the input as a string. So str equal to so what I will do, I'll take input as something like Java is fun and Java is powerful. So this will be my input. Okay. Okay. Now the next thing is I have to find the list of unique words from this sentence, and then I need to sort it, right? So what I will do first, I will try to find the unique words and store it into a list. So I'll declare a variable of type list which will hold all these unique words. So I'll mention it as unique words. Okay. Now to find these unique words, I can use split function, which is available in string. So what I can do, and then I need to use stream APIs and then sort display the result. So first thing is I'll need to split this. So str.split will be used to split the sentence by spaces. Then I need to use a stream API. So what I will do, I'll simply create a stream using arrays dot stream, and here I will pass the words which are splitted by using space function. Then what I will do, I'll convert this into lowercase. So I'll use map, and then I will use string colon colon to lowercase. So basically, this lowercase is a function which is available in string, and I'm referring it using method reference object. Then what I will do, I'll try to find the distinct words using distinct function, and then I'll sort all this using sorted function. Okay, now I got what I did here. So I tried to split this sentence using equals, and then I converted all these words into lowercase, and then I tried to find the distinct or unique words using distinct function, and then I sorted it, and finally I'll collect it into a list. So I'll use collect method which takes collector, and this collectors dot to list will give me all the words into a list. Okay, now I will get all the unique words, and now I'll simply print these words. Okay, so I'll use system.out.println to print these words. Now let me run this and see what is the output. So here you can say and one is Java powerful. So Java was occurred twice, but we have to find unique words. So basically we need to avoid the duplicates. So Java has been printed only once. Then is also printed only once. And if you see, all these are sorted in ascending order or alphabetical order. Yes, so that is from this code.
Yeah, nice. All right, wonderful. So I think I'm done from my side. Do you have any specific questions for me?
No, I don't have any question.
All right. So it was wonderful talking to you, and thanks a lot for your time. Have a very good day ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.